We are back, feeling refreshed, feeling jubilant, and ready for the second half of this Formula One season. We are in Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, the Ardennes Forest. So many names you can call this place. I'm not really interested in the names. I just want to pound around this circuit and go up Eau Rouge side by side with someone. Whether I get that or not, that's a whole completely different situation. Looking at the grid now, as that's a beautiful shot down Eau Rouge. We had an alright qualifying. It's, again, not our best qualifying of the season by any measure. I don't think we're going to match that front row start. But Lewis Hamilton took a pole, as Anthony Davidson called it, a scintillating pole position. Got Valtteri Bottas right behind him, Raikkonen behind Vettel. We're behind both of the Mercedes with Ricciardo to my right and Massa right behind me. Romain Grosjean actually got into Q3, which is fairly interesting. Danny Kvyat again out-qualifies Carlos Sainz. Jolyon Palmer still hasn't moved from 16th place. Fernando Alonso, the best of the backmarkers, so fair play to you, Fernando. You're doing something with your car, I'll give you that. You're actually trying to make a difference, but we are ready for the Grand Prix. We have pulled up to our grid slot, and I have no footage. So about halfway through this race, my footage will actually kick in, my actual in-game footage. But we're going to have to do with cinematic cameras, just because I didn't hit the record button. So that's my bad. But we're going to go side by side, almost side by side with Kimi coming out of the hairpin. And it looks like we could go side by side with him through Eau Rouge. But I don't think that's going to happen in time. We're practically going to be pushing him through Eau Rouge because we're so close to him. I pulled to the outside, but then I remembered I'm not going to have the speed side by side with him, so we'll have to get it done under braking because this Renault just hasn't got the legs on it, which we do get him under braking, and I'm pretty sure Hamilton tried having a go at Valtteri Bottas. It didn't quite work out for him, but Bottas does keep ahead of Lewis Hamilton. We get ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, and speaking of Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, here he goes, trying to go down his inside at the end of the longest straight on the circuit. He manages to get the position done, and Bottas ain't going to take it lying down. Bottas is going to fight back, and fight back he does, but inevitably Hamilton will get through as he has the inside line, and Vettel's kind of just dancing off in the distance at this point. He's got a healthy little gap, and we're just going to just chill, just wait for the Mercedes and see what we can do. We can do something a little bit different, and different we shall. We're going to come into the pit lane and put on a pair of super softs. Now, in theory, I didn't understand why my engineer called me in for a pit stop so early. But looking back on it, it was probably a good idea, just down to the tyre wear that you can accumulate over one lap, especially with all the fighting that's going on up front with Hamilton, Bottas. If those two are fighting amongst themselves throughout the entire lap, then I could gain some time on one of them, if not both. So that's what we're going to do. We go full lock and we just don't come out the pit lane properly. So I got a slap on the wrist by the stewards. But we come out behind Marcus Ericsson, who's going to take us through Eau Rouge. Not side by side, unfortunately. I still don't get my wish. But we're going to take him more or less before we get to the DRS detection zone. We're on the same tyres. Only difference is he's on older tyres and we're just going to bump tyres. I don't know why. But Fernando Alonso is ahead of this little pack of cars, which is basically towards the back of the grid. And here is Fernando, bless his little cotton socks. He is going to be so slow. He needs to go to IndyCar. But that is Fernando Alonso dispatched. And we're going to come around turn 1 as we start a brand new lap. And we're going to see on the right hand side, we have a Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. Now, that is important because that means we have gained plenty of time on both of the Mercedes while they've been fighting and are in the pit lane. So we've got Danny Kvyat and Jolyon Palmer again ahead of us. So Jolyon Palmer needs to stop getting in our way because it's getting really frustrating having to overtake him every single time. But, I mean, it's not going to be very difficult. I mean, like I said, he's got no traction. We're on the same tyres. Like, it's practically a straight Jolyon and you're going so slow. How is this possible? But we get past Jolyon Palmer. Well, we will get past Jolyon Palmer. It's inevitable, let's be honest. But he's gonna try and do a Max Verstappen, and it's just not gonna work. I don't know what he's doing, but he's just a pain in my butt. I mean, he's just there for no reason. Anyway, we're gonna come through the last chicane, the bus stop chicane, and we're going to start and try and figure out where Bottas is going to come out, because that's Sebastian Vettel just there. He's actually being held up, which is really good for us, so we can actually close down him. But my main concern is where is Bottas. There he is. He's just come out of the pit lane, and it's going to be incredibly close. And it looks as if we're going to go side by side through Eau Rouge, which is what I want. We're going to go side by side. We're going to give him a little tap just to let him know that we're there, and we actually make it through in one piece. That could have been a repeat of Hungary. Luckily enough, it wasn't. But here is Vettel. He's stuck behind the 2 cars ahead. This is my opportunity, and I'm just gonna have to go for it, aren't I? There's no other way about it. I'm just gonna have to dive it down his inside, make sure that I get ahead of him, and see you later. That's it. Job done. We are in effectively a net P1. So if it wasn't for Hungary, we could have like triple wins here, but no, we messed up Hungary massively. So we're just gonna do what we can and hold on to this win. I don't think we're going to have that much of a challenge, but like you can see now, my gameplay has obviously come back. I actually realised that I was not recording, and I kind of got annoyed because obviously ended up in P1 and then not been recording the entire time. It's kind of frustrating, but managed to keep ahead on the pace that we have, and we actually looked like we was about to get challenged a little bit by Sebastian Vettel on the last lap, but it didn't actually materialise, which is kind of sad because it would have been nice to have had a little bit of a scrap with Sebastian Vettel, but we're going to come across the line to claim our 4th win of the season, which is fantastic. It's a good little bounce back from the issues that we had in Hungary. It just shows that we can bounce back even stronger. We can do a Lewis Hamilton, and do a Lewis Hamilton we shall. So that is the 4th time we've stood on the top step of the podium, 6th time we've been on the podium, if my maths is correct, and just by me glancing at this piece of paper in front of me, I am correct. So again, his overalls match the podium, which is slightly annoying. Really hurts my eyes, but anyway, that's been it for this video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later.